welcome back to another episode of Anything But ASIC. And today we're going to keep deviating from the crypto market because nothing's really happening that's too exciting. So today I'm going to tell you about a project of yesteryear. And literally yesteryear, I created this last year and I completely just let it just sit in the background, and it's another PHP project, and I thought I'd just bring it up to just show how awesome PHP is, and how I actually can code. Today it's going to be involving the Orange Pi Zero. Was this the LTS with the H2? This is what we're going to be deving on, and we're going to turn this into a server. Now, something to note as I was looking for this, the Orange Pi Zero actual websites, they're not on. I think everybody in America is being cut off from the Chinese servers for some reason or another, but we'll see. We'll see if that ever comes up in passing. But so it's gonna be some notes I took while I was, setting this up, and a ramble. So let's get started. So another one of my old PHP projects. It's a Tor message board. With the increasing surveillance over everything people do on the internet, I attempted to move my conversations with other people over to the safest place on the internet so far, Tor. Shortly after, Network Chuck put a video out about making dark web websites on the Raspberry Pi, which we don't do over here. Okay, we use Raspberry. I'm not that much particular. I got working on expanding the ideal with my PHP skills, and I'm going to pull up that website or his video right here. If you go look it up, yes, he puts a dark web website onto the Raspberry Pi, which wasn't hard. But if you want to learn how to do that, I'm not going to go through it. Just go to this video, and it'll show you how. It's literally just sudo app install Tor and did install ngx, which is an alternative for Apache, and some configurations. But 27-minute video, it's not ridiculously hard. So with that being out of the way, let's see, knowing that this video actually, I can't believe it, actually it's actually a year old. It's actually over a year old, and this project is too. Unfortunately, none of my friends or family ever used this messaging board. This is just kind of set on the back of my friend's server, the back of his server room, and just did nothing. Most of them not being really concerned about their privacy. They were using other things that were widely available. At least the one person that was concerned for his privacy was using Signal. The other guy, he just doesn't really care. And everybody else, I probably just need to get new friends. I mean, I invited him to this project and just never gotten anything. So, this is how I learned about Tor. This is how I learned about, like I said, using PHP, and this has really expanded to another whole project after I got done with this one. But I'm just gonna go ahead and go through it. First, let's log on. I'm gonna log on via PuTTY to the Orange Pi Zero. So I'm gonna go look for the Orange Pi Zero, which I had set up for OTG UART connection. So do dmessage pull grep tty, and it doesn't say it's there. It doesn't say it's there. I know it's there. Whatever. PuTTY. Serial go ACM 0, baud rate of 115200. What did I do? Alright. Okay, let's see if I can wake this up. Wake me up. There you go. Yeah. Well, I would show you, but I was already logged in earlier from when I did the notes on this. So I'm still logged in. So, let's. Who am I? That's not what I wanted to say. Who am I? Root on here, and let's see. What was it? I forgot what it was or what the command was. Let me look it up. Cool. Command to find. Comment. No, I spelled that wrong. What was it? Okay, it's gonna bug me. Uname. There it was. I don't figure that's gonna bug me. Uname. Linux. Name dash A. I think it was. Yeah, there we go. Linux. All right. That's more information. Anyways, you know it's Linux. That's all I really wanted to prove. See. Okay, so you're in ls. We're in the index for where your websites would be stored for in NGX or Apache, which is in the var /www/html file on Linux. And I got the main page to be served up, which is the index.php. So I got a picture for the background, and I got the data file to store the messages that are sent from the index.php over to which would be the orange pie in the server. So, starting off. Start over just standard boilerplate HTML frame. Look it up. Okay, so nano index.php. It's here as well. So start out with your boiler frame, head, title. Doesn't really matter what's called for title, and then some style your page. Most pros will make this a separate page. I don't bother for small projects. Then you get into the actual messenger, the forms. It's basically just that style. Yeah, and then you basically go into print out two text boxes, one for input and one for chat output. These are just text data, text area. Text areas to input text to send messages. Notice you can put PHP anywhere in the HTML document to have it print out new HTML content just like JavaScript. This code will submit a time step with your submitted entry. As you can see here, the PHP echo date, month, date, hour, and I forgot what the I was, but it basically puts a time step on when you input and submitted the message, so people know like when it happens, basically. And there you end it, and then you start a new text area here. So you can see on this as well, on the server, on the Orange Pi. Let's see, you start a new text area here. This PHP code just reads a text file on the server and echoes out what has been saved to the text file. So you can see that the PHP here, its only function is to just read that text file and then put it back into another text area as you submit more text, so it becomes this long chat. And beyond that, is now the meat and potatoes of the PHP magic. Once again, most pros will put this in another file to be referenced. Once again, I don't really see the point of doing that with such a small project. This PHP code collects and submits the text in the first text area and writes it to the text file on the server with a post type action. And that's if I set post text data. Let's see, put it here so you can see it in the server. And it's really not really a big script, honestly. It's like 5 lines of code. Really. Let's see. FP, the FP variable here becomes a self-assigned variable that the user assigned, just made it up, to signal to use a function. This function being to open the text file on the server so it can receive information. So the text file being data.txt, and the A here standing for append. So what's going to happen is FP, the variable, is going to hold the function of a built-in function of PHP, which is the fopen. This is to open a file on the server, and that file is data.txt, and it wants to append that information. It means to write to the file itself. And then next, this fwrite function is a built-in function of PHP as well. It just writes the data to the file. So this one, fopen opens the file, and fwrite writes the information that was stored into the variable fp and data into the file. And then you got the fclose. This closes the file as you don't want to leave this open. It can make the server unstable, creating multiple events, and there's a potential security breach. I know I could have secured this code much better. There's all kinds of ways that this leaves the code open, especially on like the if sets. There's other there's other parts in there that most people will tell you, like advanced coders will tell you, that is leaving this code open for attack, really. But it was on Tor, so most likely nobody's gonna know about it unless I told them about it. So if I was gonna be hacked, it's gonna be by somebody I already knew that I told to use this, and gave them the address to actually see it. And that's pretty much it. There's a PHP based messenger, and I'm gonna go ahead and look that up on the router so you can see what that looks like after everything's finished. Yep, and that's it. And it doesn't save anything. Unfortunately, I didn't use the database with this, so I'm not like fully versed in the databases just yet. I'll explain that later. But basically, you can put in your name, put in what your message is. Could be anything you want. There's no censors here. And you'll save it and refresh the chat. We'll bring it up right here, which is man, that clock's off. No, the clock's not off. It's 7, 10, 6, 12. Yep. 7/10/6/12. So it's July 10th, 6:12, 6 o'clock and 12 minutes a.m. And so far the chat file, I left this in here. So far the chat file has 492 characters in it, and that's basically it. That's what it ends up looking like. And like I said, you can get a host with a DNS server and everything going, and you can have and you can expand this. You can put other things there, but like you can make this your, like I said, your main messenger. After you got like, let's say you're selling the product. Let's say you're selling like candles or something, and somebody needs to like contact you. This can be on your server. They can just leave you a small message or whatever what they want, and you can go from there. And that's basically it. Now I'm just gonna ramble from here on out into the end of the video about this project and other things. Like I said, this is another project that's stuck in my backlog. It's to be improved later on in the future. And actually, it spun off into other projects, one being a Wi-Fi point-of-sale system menu, which I'm kind of hesitant to put up because that one could potentially still make me a lot of money. I thought by learning PHP it would get me a job in web development, being that its big claim to fame was that it was used to make WordPress and Facebook, which I think WordPress used it. Facebook has moved to React since they made React. But they are two companies that are fading accolades of the ever progressive web development stack, since we got that stack was basically a LAMP stack, but we got MERNs and basically everything's just JavaScript. Yeah, apparently I'm a LAMP developer, but in recent weeks I have come across dozens of articles that say that LAMP is obsolete when you can just do everything with JavaScript. So instead of being the LAMP, instead of having Apache there, I substituted that now with Angular. That's what I'm learning now. I find it when I first started coding, I found that JavaScript was really hard to deal with. I didn't really get it until like I got into like Ruby, and I started to get what JavaScript, how the syntax actually worked and came together with the document object model, which is why I went to PHP instead of JavaScript, because PHP is kind of more direct, whereas the document object model is its own kind of like formula. I don't know how to say it, where it takes like pieces of the HTML boilerplate and replaces it, whereas PHP replaces it in the code itself. So where was I? So, like I said, I learned some jQuery, but I learned jQuery is also obsolete. So I'm replacing that with Angular, just to be more well-rounded. Like I said, you got MERNs. The MERN stack, which is MongoDB, Express, Angular, and Node. I don't want to be full JavaScript, but that pretty much has taken over in pursuit of developing everything faster with less effort, since everything's just basically JavaScript. Also, in a certain article, a point was brought up that most companies are not just going to trust anyone with their servers. So, being with a PHP developer, or just a web developer in generally you're going to start in the front end. You don't have to, but generally, from what I'm getting from Andy Sorkowitz and Stefan, I forget the old guy name. Basically, you're just gonna be on the front end. You're gonna HTML, CSS, JavaScript. That's gonna be your deal, and it's not Node.js, which I'm gonna get to that point later where Node.js operates on the server, so there's no way to really avoid it. If you're gonna work with in anything web development, generally you're gonna have to touch the server, especially if you're gonna be pushing stuff into a database. The database is on the server, but it seems like I've done this web development journey backwards. But considering the little I have learned of React and Node.js are based on working with server and databases. I just said that. Okay, so there really is no way to get around interacting with the server. Just said that. If you're a full stack assignment, meaning you're going to be working front end and back end. But generally, you're going to start on the front end if you're starting with a team or a new company, because it's going to has to be some rapport built there before I say, hey, come touch my server and possibly get us hacked. This code was made by me. I didn't copy anything in my free time to understand manipulating servers. From what I gathered, Node.js and React, only difference to PHP is how the elements are referenced and manipulated. I mentioned that. Also, the fact that Node.js and React.js were created by large companies, Facebook and Google. Google created Node, that are most likely just forcing everybody to use it. This is most likely forcing all their FANG developers, you're going to use this or you're not going to get in. That's probably what's happening. That's generally what's happening. I can see that happening. You want to get in here? You got to learn freaking React, bruh. And even React and Angular is being replaced by Vue. And Vue is being replaced by Vue Lite. It's like, we just got to go faster. We got to develop faster. It's like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. To expand this project, I could use MySQL, but I've yet to make a deep dive into how a database fully works, as the documentation is long and it puts me to sleep fairly quickly. It's just a bunch of words. I usually get to the point where it's like, oh yeah, put in your password, and everything else just kind of blurs. After that, it just starts sounding like womp 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 womp. I'm like, oh god. One of these days. Now, to be honest, I'm kind of getting with the JavaScript vibe. Like, if you ever seen my main website, it has jQuery in it. Once again, it's obsolete, supposedly. And that was like my first like success with JavaScript was jQuery. Because before that, trying to use pure just JavaScript, it would just never work for me. That's why I migrated to PHP. Like, I could never get it to work. I didn't understand it that well, but JavaScript is actually what I started back in 2017 trying to learn. I literally went through W3 School's whole tutorial, like wrote down, I actually took notes by pen and paper and wrote down everything about JavaScript that they were putting out, and I still didn't get it. But now I think I fare a lot better, especially with just learning a framework. That way I could just say that, I know JavaScript and I know a framework, so a somewhat relative framework. And maybe at some point this is gonna pay off. But until then, let me know what you guys think. Are you guys gonna make your own messaging board and maybe make even a cooler one than I have? Maybe expand it. And I'll see you guys later.